We would love to have solved this. There's no question about it.
The top agent in Seattle's FBI office saying a case has been laid to rest. The FBI officially closing their investigation.
It doesn't feel good to acknowledge that this is the only unsolved skyjacking in American history.
The FBI confirms they have investigated more than 100 persons of interest. No solid evidence in front of them. They reached their decision.
We have done everything that we could, and now we need to put our focus in other places.
There's been an agent assigned to the case for 45 years, making it one of the longest and most exhaustive investigations for the FBI. When asked for a sum, they quipped it's cost the agency more than what was taken, including costs that can't be calculated.
The most successful plane hijacker in history never took hostages. He was never caught, and he never crashed a plane. In 1971, a quiet man walked into the airport. He had a $20 ticket, but few hours later, he had $200,000 in ransom, 4 parachutes, and the whole FBI searching for him. The man the world later called D.B. Cooper was never found. No body, no identity, no explanation. And 50 years later, this still remains a mystery that the FBI never solved.
If something were to arise, principally the parachutes or the money, we would reopen.
So it takes time and resources away from other cases where there are victims now, where there's problems and crimes now.
On the 24th day of November 1971, the day before Thanksgiving, airports in the United States were packed with people heading home for the Thanksgiving. In Portland International Airport, a man calmly walked to the ticket counter. He was ordinary, in his mid-40s, 6 feet tall. Nothing about him suggested that he was about to commit the most famous crime in American history. He bought a ticket of the Northwest Orient Flight 305, heading to Seattle, and he paid in cash. The name on the ticket was Dan Cooper. The D.B. Cooper was a mistake made by a reporter during printing, but somehow it became legendary. You see, security at the airport was not as strict as it is today. So when it was 2:50 p.m., Cooper boarded the plane. The flight was supposed to be short, 30 minutes from Portland to Seattle. There were 36 passengers on board. Cooper took the seat 18C near the back of the plane. Witnesses later described him as a polite man, calm, quiet, just watching the clouds through the window, as if he was planning something. He sat back and ordered a drink, a baboon and a soda. Then he called the flight attendant, Florence Schaffner, then handed her a note. But just like any other lady, Florence Schaffner was used to businessmen giving her their contacts. So she thought D.B. Cooper was just some lustful man. But D.B. Cooper leaned towards her and told her, "Miss, you better read the note. I have a bomb." Then Florence Schaffner opened the note, and it was clear. D.B. Cooper was hijacking the plane, he wanted money, and he had a bomb. And to prove it, D.B. Cooper opened the briefcase, and inside the briefcase, there were cylinders and cables. It looked like a dynamite. And he clearly stated what he wanted. He wanted $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck waiting for him when he lands in Seattle. The pilots immediately contacted the air traffic control unit, who soon informed the FBI, and they were involved immediately. See, instead of flying directly to Seattle, the plane started circling the area because on the ground, the authorities needed time to gather the ransom. The FBI were running up and down, gathering the $200,000 and putting it into $20 bills and taking photographs so that it would be used to track the money later. But Cooper was quiet. He even paid for his drink, the drink that he ordered. He was too calm that it was unsettling, and it showed that he had a plan that he was executing perfectly. After nearly 2 hours, the passengers were released. Most of them never even realized they were part of a hijacking. But Cooper remained behind with a small crew. The ransom was delivered, 4 parachutes were brought on board, But the question that the investigators kept asking themselves is, why 4 parachutes? If Cooper ordered 1 parachute, the authorities would have sabotaged it. But ordering 4, that made authorities think that Cooper is going to take hostages. And that way, Cooper guaranteed that he's going to get the right parachute. That detail alone was very crucial at that moment. After refueling, Cooper gave new instructions to the pilots: fly towards Mexico and keep the plane below 10,000 feet and maintain a speed limit of 200 miles per hour. These instructions confused the investigators, but the aviation experts later realized what Cooper was up to. You see, the plane that Cooper hijacked was a Boeing 27, the plane that had rare features in that the plane had staircase that would open mid-flight when the plane was in the air. The staircase later became known as Cooper Vane because after the Cooper incident, the airlines modified the planes so that the staircase would not open mid-air again. As the plane flew south through the night, Cooper ordered the crew to move to the cockpit, and then he was alone. At around 8 p.m., a warning light flashed in the cockpit, a warning light that showed that the rear staircase had been deployed. And moments later, the plane suddenly shifted as if something heavy had left the aircraft. That is the moment that D.B. Cooper jumped 10,000 feet above the forest of Washington, with 200,000 strapped on his body. And later, when the plane landed in Reno, Nevada, the crew searched the cabins, but there was no money. 1 parachute gone, and the mysterious hijacker also gone. The FBI launched a massive investigations. Agents searched the forest that Cooper might have landed. Helicopters scanned miles of the wilderness. Fingerprints were examined. The tie that Cooper left behind was also examined. They exhausted every lead that they had. But days went, weeks, months, years, but nothing. Then later, in 1980, a boy by the name of Brian Ingram discovered stack of decaying cash when he was digging sand in Columbia River. The serial number of the cash matched those that were of the ransom, but the amount that was discovered was only $5,800. The rest disappeared. Experts believe that Cooper died from the landing, but others believe that Cooper survived and that he chose the remote location because he could disappear easily. And if that is true, Cooper might have survived the landing and changed his identity and lived the rest of his life unnoticed. In 2016, the FBI finally closed the investigations, but it still remains a mystery somewhere in history that a man jumped out of a plane with a fortune, the only skyjacker who escaped the FBI. And the story still remains unsolved up to today.